I need to tell you something, and honestly, I'm a little nervous about it, not because I'm scared. At 95 years old, there's not much left that scares me anymore, but because what I'm about to share could get some people in trouble. Good people, people who actually helped me when I needed it most, and yet I can't stay quiet. My name is Richard Patterson. I live in a small apartment in Pennsylvania, and until recently my mornings started with a 30-minute medication routine, 14 different medications. Every single day I had a pill organizer that looked like a tackle box. Morning pills, afternoon pills, evening pills, bedtime pills. It was like a part-time job just managing my prescriptions, and the cost, $1,200 every month. High blood pressure, type 2 diabetes, high cholesterol, chronic pain, insomnia, anxiety, stomach problems. Each condition had its own pill, sometimes multiple pills. And every time I went to the doctor, which was every 2 weeks, it seemed like they'd add another one. And you know what? Despite all these medications, I felt absolutely terrible. I was tired all the time. My mind felt foggy. I'd forget things constantly. I was weak. I could barely walk to the mailbox without getting winded. I had dizzy spells, and the pain was everywhere. My daughter Sarah would visit twice a week. I could see it in her eyes every time she walked in, that look of concern. She'd find me sitting in my recliner, staring at the television, not even really watching, just existing, not living. The doctors told me this was all normal. I was 94 years old. What did I expect? This was just part of getting old. These medications were necessary to keep me alive, and I believed them. I thought I was lucky to have such good medical care. I thought these pills were the only thing standing between me and death. I was wrong, and I almost died before I figured that out. It was a Tuesday morning. I got up to use the bathroom, same as every morning. Suddenly the room started spinning. My vision went dark. My legs turned to water, and then I was falling. The next thing I knew, I was lying on the cold bathroom tile with a splitting headache and blood on my face. I'd hit my head on the sink. I couldn't get up. I just lay there bleeding, unable to move, unable to call for help. My phone was in the living room. I was alone, completely alone and terrified. About 45 minutes later, Sarah stopped by on her way to work. She had a key, thank God. The fear in her voice when she saw me, I'll never forget that sound. At the hospital, they ran tests, and when the results came back, the ER doctor told us what happened. Medication interaction. 2 of my pills had reacted badly with each other, causing my blood pressure to drop dramatically. I'd been taking those same 2 medications together for over a year. My regular doctor had prescribed them both, but I could have died on that bathroom floor. That night in the hospital bed, I felt something I hadn't felt in years. Anger, real burning anger. I'd done everything right. I'd followed every instruction, and I'd nearly died anyway. Not from my diseases, from the medications that were supposed to be treating them. The next morning, a doctor I'd never met before came to check on me. Dr. Sarah Chin. She had kind eyes, and she actually sat down next to my bed. She asked me how I was feeling, and I told her the truth. I felt terrible, not just from the fall, but in general. She pulled up my chart and started scrolling through my medications. Her expression changed as she read. Then she did something that changed everything. She told me that some of my medications were actually only treating side effects caused by my other medications. She used the word cascade. Each drug caused problems that required more drugs to fix. One of my blood pressure medications caused dizziness, so I was on another drug to counteract that. My cholesterol medication caused muscle pain, so I was taking painkillers. The painkillers caused constipation, so I was on laxatives. Nearly half of my 14 medications were just treating problems caused by the other half. Then she pulled up my old blood work from years ago. She showed me that my diabetes had actually been borderline back then. Instead of suggesting diet changes, my doctor had immediately put me on medication. That's just standard protocol. But the problem was that this approach doesn't actually fix anything. My blood sugar was actually higher now than it had been 8 years ago when I started the medication. And that medication was causing other problems. It commonly causes vitamin B12 deficiency, which leads to nerve damage and cognitive problems, memory issues, confusion, weakness, all the things I'd been experiencing and blaming on old age, more pills to fix problems caused by other pills. She explained that in American medicine, the focus is on managing disease according to established protocols, not curing disease. Clinical guidelines are heavily influenced by pharmaceutical companies. It's safer for doctors to follow standard protocols than suggest lifestyle changes. She told me about working in rural areas where people didn't have easy access to all these medications. Those people were often healthier than patients in big cities with the best medical care. Because when you can't rely on pills, you have to rely on other things: real food, physical activity, purpose, and community. That conversation planted a seed in my mind. What if I could actually get better instead of just managing my decline? When I was discharged, I started doing research. I found articles about lifestyle medicine. Doctors who focus on treating disease through diet, exercise, and stress management instead of medications. I found studies showing that type 2 diabetes could potentially be reversed. I found a doctor about an hour away who specialized in this, Dr. James Kowalski. When I met him, I told him everything. He spent 2 hours with me. 2 hours. He reviewed every medication, every lab result, and then he told me something that seemed impossible. He believed we could get me off at least 10 medications within 6 months, and he believed we could potentially reverse my type 2 diabetes completely. I was 94 years old, but I had almost died on my bathroom floor. I'd been given a second chance, and I wasn't going to waste it. The plan was intense. Eliminate medication strategically while monitoring my blood work weekly. Complete overhaul of my diet. No processed foods, no sugar, no refined carbohydrates, just real whole foods. Daily movement, even just walking around my apartment. And something I hadn't expected, he talked about purpose, having something to live for. The first 2 weeks were brutal. Stopping the sleep and anxiety pills caused withdrawal symptoms. Cutting out sugar meant terrible headaches. I wanted to quit so many times. But Sarah helped me. She cooked meals with me, walked with me, encouraged me when I felt like giving up. By week 3, something amazing happened. I slept through the entire night without medication. I hadn't done that in over a decade. My mind felt clearer. The fog started to lift, and I had energy, actual energy. My blood sugar started dropping. from 180 down to 160, then 150, then 140. By month 2, I was walking 30 minutes every day. I started feeling stronger. My balance improved. I'd taken up woodworking again. I joined a group at my church. I was making friends. At 94 years old, I was making new friends. At the 3-month mark, Dr. Kowalski ran comprehensive blood work. When he showed me the results, I could tell something was different. He had this smile on his face. My A1C was 5.6. Anything under 5.7 is considered normal. Not diabetic, not even pre-diabetic, normal. I'd had type 2 diabetes for 8 years. And now I didn't have it anymore. I'd reversed it. I cried. I sat in that office and cried like a baby. My blood pressure was normal without medication. My cholesterol levels were healthy. I'd lost 28 pounds. I was down to just 2 medications, and I felt better than I had in 15 years. I was so excited that I started telling people about it. Friends from church would ask what I'd been doing, and I told them everything. I thought I was helping people. Then I got a phone call from Dr. Morrison, my regular doctor of 20 years. His receptionist said he needed to see me urgently. I went in feeling proud. His reaction shocked me. He looked at my results with anger. He told me I was playing with fire. Type 2 diabetes doesn't reverse. It's chronic and progressive. Whatever I was experiencing was temporary. The medications I'd been on were keeping me alive. I tried to show him the lab results again. My A1C was 5.6. My blood pressure was perfect, but he dismissed it. He said lab results could be misleading. This lifestyle medicine approach wasn't real medicine. Then he said something that made my blood run cold. He'd heard I'd been talking to people at my church about what I'd done, and that needed to stop immediately. I asked him why. He said that if other patients followed my example and something went wrong, there could be serious liability issues, not just for any doctor involved, but for me personally. If I continued talking about this and someone got hurt, I could be held responsible. And any doctor helping me with this approach could potentially lose their medical license. That's when everything became crystal clear. This wasn't about my health. This was about protecting the system. A system that profits from keeping people on medications for life rather than curing them. I'm 95 years old now. I've lived long enough to know when something is fundamentally wrong. What's happening to millions of seniors in this country is wrong. They're being put on medication after medication. They're spending fortunes on prescriptions. They're experiencing terrible side effects dismissed as just part of getting old. They're losing their quality of life, and they're being told this is normal. But it's not. I'm living proof. I reversed type 2 diabetes at age 94. I got off 12 medications. I'm more active and engaged now at 95 than I was at 90. Everyone's situation is different, but shouldn't people at least know it's possible? When protecting the system means keeping patients sick and dependent on medications they might not need, something has gone terribly wrong. So I'm telling my story anyway, despite the warnings, despite the consequences, because at 95 I'm not afraid anymore. I've already faced death on that bathroom floor. I've been given a second chance. I'm not going to waste it staying quiet. If my story can help even one person question whether they really need all those medications, If it can inspire even one senior to talk to their doctor about trying a different approach, then whatever consequences I face will be worth it. I'm not telling people to stop their medications. I'm not giving medical advice. I'm just sharing what happened to me. I nearly died from the medications that were supposed to be keeping me alive. And when I found doctors willing to try a different approach, my life was transformed. Every person deserves to know all their options. Every person deserves doctors focused on curing disease, not just managing it. I'm 95 years old. I'm healthier now than I was at 90. That shouldn't be controversial. That should be celebrated. But in a system that profits from chronic disease management, actual recovery is threatening. And that tells you everything you need to know. Well, there you have it. Now I'm curious, where in the world are you watching from? Drop your city or country in the comments. I genuinely love connecting with viewers from everywhere. If this story resonated with you, don't forget to subscribe. Your support keeps this channel going. Thanks so much for watching. See you soon.